If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of The Mind Pump, for the first 40 minutes, Justin, Adam, and myself have some fun. We do our introductory conversation. Here's what we talked about before we got into the fitness. First off, I talk about Organifi Pure. That is their nootropic product that has my brain on fire right now. You can probably hear it in my voice.
It's pure fire.
Organifi makes organic supplements like protein powders, green powders, red juices, gold juices. Good stuff. If you go to Organifi.com/mindpump and use the code mindpump, you'll get 20% off. Then we talked about Adam's hair loss again. That was good times.
Oh, wow.
We talked about Amazon brand loyalty and why quality always wins. We've had this debate about whether or not Amazon's going to take over because they're going to create all these products and shut all these brands down. Adam brought up this article that kind of goes against that and is actually quite compelling. And then we talked about quality, and of course, that reminded us of Vuori athletic wear clothing for men and for women. It's a company we work with, the highest quality workout leisure wear that we've ever seen. Looks really good, and of course, we're sponsored by them. If you go to Vuori Clothing, Vuori spelled Vuori, clothing.com/mindpump, we will get you a full 25% off your first order. Then we talked about Netflix versus Disney. The war is starting. Who's going to win?
Here comes the Titans.
We talked about Google's new video gaming streaming system, and they're also going to go to 8K. I don't know what the hell that means, 8K. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, holograms.
We talked about my interview I did this morning, and we talked about digital wellness and digital fasting. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of your health depends on whether or not you develop practices around your use of technology. You heard it here first. We are prophesizing this. Then we talked about how Mind Pump is switching to a brand new platform, new website. It's going to look awesome. We apologize ahead of time if there's some disruptions, but we think it's going to be all smooth. And then we talked about our new up-and-coming event, Mind Pump and Mimosas. This is in San Jose on 4/20, so you know it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're going to be answering questions. It's live. Get to meet us live, have a good time. You get
Drink and hang out with us? Come on.
You get to give Justin a hug in real life, and let me tell you, it's awesome.
I am.
He's a great hugger.
I'm a good hugger.
He is the best hugger. This is how you sign up for
Sometimes too long.
Go to mindpumplive.com. Go there, sign up. Limited space. Then we get into the fitness part of this episode. The first question was, we talk about the dangers of overtraining all the time. What if I'm sedentary? I don't do a lot. Does that mean I can work out even harder and more because I'm normally lazy? Find out the answer to that question in that episode, in this part of this episode. That was confusing.
What?
Next question. In the beginning of our careers, we handled clients that were deconditioned or with mobility issues in particular ways, and that evolved as we got better. How do you handle people with mobility issues? How do you convince them to work on the mobility because all they want to do is lose 30 pounds? Next question. What is something that we preach but we don't practice? Are we hypocrites on anything? You bet your ass.
Always trying to get the dirt.
And the final question, are we going to encourage our children to go to college, or are we going to talk to them about doing different things? Great debate and discussion in that part of this episode. Also, remind everybody, MAPS Aesthetic, our bodybuilding physique competitor and bikini competitor inspired program, the program that teaches you how to sculpt and shape your body the way you see fit, is 50% off. Here's what you do. Go to mapsblack.com and use the code BLACK50, BLACK50 for that discount. Also, if you want to learn about our other MAPS programs, or if you're super serious, if you're somebody that's like, look, I just want to get fit and I want to do it the right way. I don't want to mess around, Sal. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 10 in terms of seriousness. Here's what you do. Go to mapsfitnessproducts.com, sign up for our super bundle that takes many of our programs and strings them together for a full year of exercise programming. All the guesswork is gone. You do it for a full year.
It's for the serious Stanley.
Watch what happens to your body. Again, that's at mapsfitnessproducts.com.
And Sally.
Organifi Pure gets me on fire every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, we need to get more water bottles because we missed today here.
I got it in mine.
This is the first day. Oh, you did? You dog.
I mixed it in there.
You're a dog, dude.
Well,
you're hiding it from us.
I do my thing,
Yeah.
They has to be one of their best sellers. It has to be. It's one of the best products I've tried.
Did I tell you? I actually just
Totally.
Sean. I don't know if she'll get mad at me for talking about this. We had to renegotiate our Organifi contract because our code leaked out to one of those
coupon code sites.
Yes, coupon code sites. So, and next month, I believe we're announcing the new code that we had to redo everything like that. Which,
so they're still making us change the code.
Yeah, we have to change the code. It's going to be Mind Pump 20 is what it's going to be.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's not there live. So if you're listening to the episode right now, it's still Mind Pump code, and it'll still exist. You'll still be able to use either one. But we had to renegotiate the contract because they wanted to split that and separate it. And I was like, well, that's going to screw us because there's going to be half of our audience that's been trained to use Mind Pump. They always use Mind Pump.
Plus, episodes are evergreen. They just live on the internet.
Yeah, that was quite the hassle to go
That's going to be the new challenge for these companies is how are they going to try? Because it's going to be like old school commercials because okay, fine, we'll change our code. Guess what's going to happen? That new code's going to be used on another.
Going to throw that up on another
coupon
website.
Site or whatever.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's win all the way around for them. You know what I'm saying? It's just
exactly
it's exposure. Yeah, that's what you're going for
them,
anyway. Them, it's a win all the way around. But it was the first, I think, first time that's happened to us that we had to kind of figure out our way around how to navigate around that. So that was an interesting.
Congratulations to her, by the way. She just had her baby girl.
Oh, it did. She did just have it.
Did you see the pictures?
Right. A lot of hair, huh?
Adorable.
Right.
So great.
You just love kids.
What a miracle. I do. They're wonderful. I can't wait for yours to come.
I'm pretty excited. I mean, it's neat to hear we were just talking
I'm
about.
going to teach your kid all kinds of shit. You just wait.
He's going to come out all kinds of hair just to spite you.
I'm like, I'd be like,
fuck off, Justin. I used to have just locks. Beautiful.
I remember. Bro.
Beautiful, gorgeous,
almost
full
afro, kind
curly.
of.
No,
you had luxurious hair.
Luxurious hair,
wavy.
I said that
I would
last
say.
time ago, right?
Hold on a second. Wait. When did it start to thin? Not when it got like where it's at now, but when did you notice it start to get?
About 26 is when I really started.
That's early.
Yeah, so the funny part is that it's Justin, Jared, and myself. There's three of us really tight, and Chris actually. There was four of us all through high school that were like best of friends, and I remember the summer where the guys had said something to me. So we used to. I think I've told you guys this before that when we'd wakeboard, we used to make these videos. Like we'd film ourselves wakeboarding, and then we'd edit them and put music behind them.
VHS.
Yeah, totally. It was VHS.
Yeah.
And I was the last one. So Chris went first. He started to go in high school. Jared went his freshman year at college. Justin was around 24, 25. And then me, I was about 26, 27 when it just started to happen. And the only way you could tell was when we used to go boating.
And your hair would get wet?
Yeah, my hair would get wet and it would separate from the crown a little bit. And that was like the big joke amongst all of us is we used to fuck with each other and take video clips of it.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. They were started before you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys all grow up in the same area?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of early. I wonder if you guys were exposed to some toxin or some shit. Maybe some pollution.
Did they have a lot of body hair for? Because my friend, a couple of my friends that went bald real early, they were the first to get the chest hair and all. And I just remember them having the facial hair and everything before everybody in 6th grade, and I was like, oh shit.
It's all about DHT receptors and the density of them in your scalp, and if you have a lot of DHT receptors there and you're high, maybe your DHT levels are high testosterone, I'm sure contributes.
I was the first to get gray, to go gray.
Well,
all my friends.
I'm pretty certain that it was messing with Masteron for me because up until that point,
which is a steroid derived from DHT.
Right. I'm almost
also sounds like a cool heavy metal band.
I'm almost certain that was the main cause because up until that point, I never really noticed it, and I had already messed with steroids before that in my even younger 20s, and I didn't get introduced, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing with Masteron. I used Masteron, and since then, that's when I started to notice.
You were predisposed, but then you turned it on turbo.
Totally, that's what I think. Yeah. I think that there was a good chance that I was going to thin at one point, and I think doing that in my early 20s just to kick that up.
So they say that the pattern at which you lose your hair will determine if you can stop it or slow it down or how much of a potential you have for slowing it down. If you tend to lose hair in the front and top, that's harder to stop. If you lose it just in the back, they say that that's easier to slow down.
What
and
if
stop.
it's like it just goes peak, like it's like a V?
Dude, my brother,
That's
is like
Brett too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Brett's that way.
No, my
the
bro-
alleyways.
My brother started, man. It started going.
Lanes.
Yeah.
And we tease him all the time about it. And he was making fun. You got white hair, Sal. And I'm like, well, my white hair stays in my head.
Yeah,
Yours
no.
just commits
I
suicide.
would way rather have grays than I would want losing. There's nothing you can do about that. But I have the back, and I tell you what, ever since not taking any steroids or testosterone, for sure, never taking Masteron ever again. I've kind of managed it where it's at. It hasn't gotten worse, but it hasn't gotten really that much better. I've mentioned before using the tools like Juve. And
You're using the Saul Palmetto shampoo now.
I am.
We'll see if that does anything. It takes like a while of using it to notice.
Yeah, I'm very consistent with it. So since you gave it to me, I've been using it every single day, and I'm about halfway through the bottle. So we'll see. I think you gave it to me about a month ago.
Yeah, and you
It
just
has
put
to be a myth. The whole like your mother's side determines it.
It is.
Because dude. Because everybody told me that, and like I mean, my grandpa was like super thin, like barely any hair, and then also like I mean, my mom's kind of going really thin too, and my dad super thick, bushy hair, crazy.
I was sitting with my daughter. We were watching TV, and I was kind of falling asleep a little bit. And that little shit, man, she starts pulling on my ear hair. She's like, "Dee, dee." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Why do you have hair there?"
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
yeah. She's like, I think she was expecting some kind of like, because I always explain things like, well, in human, evolution or whatever. I had no explanation. I have no idea
my
why
God.
that exists.
Nose hair, ear hair, dude. So I was watching the Mr. Rogers. Finally, I watched that documentary.
Oh,
Amazing
wasn't it good?
doc. Oh, dude,
Did it get you
hit my
emotional?
feels, dude.
Uh-huh.
Definitely, and I needed that after watching Waco and
Michael
then
Jackson.
Michael Jackson. I was like, I felt like everybody in the world is evil and horrible. Everybody's horrible, right? Now there was one beacon of light, out there. But what I was noticing was as he was aging, the bushy eyebrows were out of control. And I was like, oh my God, I think that's happening to me. And Courtney was calling me out on it. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta take care of this. This is getting out of hand.
Do you trim your eyebrows?
Yeah, dude, I do. Otherwise, it would look like that. Like it would look like the bushy.
You got squirrels on your head.
Yeah, like I got like hedges. Yeah, and just like I need to take care of that
It's
shit.
you know what, you gotta be careful, man. You fuck up a little bit, you're fucked.
I know.
Like you fuck up on one eyebrow.
Then you got to make it look like it was on purpose. Like have like some lightning bolt thing in there or something. Like,
You look like those. You look like a futuristic. Every time you watch a futuristic movie, you ever notice they got weird eyebrows? Pay attention. It's always some weird shit. Like what the fuck?
Well, the weirdest thing is when they shave it off, and then you're like you can't like identify right away what's wrong. And you stare at them, and you're like, wait, they don't have eyebrows.
They look surprised.
Whoa.
Yeah. I had a friend who passed out at a party. Here's a little tip for you. Never pass out around your friends.
Yeah.
They will do terrible things to you. But this is what he did. He passed out, and so, of course, they shaved his eyebrows. So he woke up. He didn't even notice it for like a day or two.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He didn't notice it.
Nobody told him.
Yeah, nobody said
That's
nothing.
horrible, dude.
And and he was like, it took him much later. He's like, what the fuck?
So what do you do then? Do you like take a Sharpie and like, pretend
He's
for a
a
while?
guy. He just let him grow
let it
in.
go. Yeah.
He just let it happen.
So I got to bring up something that we've talked about quite a few times on the show. So we're big on sharing things that we've been wrong, right? So I pride ourselves in, or pride myself in being somebody.
First of all, speak for yourself. Might be just you that was wrong.
Yeah, right.
No, well, this is something I talked about, and you've actually doubled down on it since I've talked about that. And,
Damn it.
And one of the things that we've said is that the whole idea of brands are dead, and this is kind of a cool thing to share with the audience because this is like an internal argument that we have. So we have Taylor on the other side, who is Mr. Brand Guy. Like he is all about building the brand and creating a brand for Mind Pump. And, one of the frustrations that I even have sometimes is like getting him out of that mentality sometimes with where things are going. And so we've been talking for some time now on the show about companies like Amazon, that they are destroying the old model of the importance of building this reputable brand because it won't matter in the future because everybody will search the 5-star thing. Well, this article comes out, I think it was yesterday, and we'll have Jackie link in the show notes. But it's just talks about how they've done some research on all these brands like batteries and clothing and shit that Amazon is producing. Because they own the platform, they hack it and automatically put it towards the top. and it's getting a ton of sales and traction, but people are reviewing it not so great. And these household brands and names that we're so used to, people are still staying loyal to and it makes sense because, and let's use clothing for example, like because they even try to hack into that space. And we work with a brand like Viore, who you can just tell by the quality of stuff that they create.
Oh, hands down, it's the best.
Yeah,
hands down.
No, it's amazing. Like it fits comfortable. It looks great. You can tell the material is amazing. You
wash it a bunch of times, it looks brand new every time.
Yeah. So you see brands like this and then you go like, man, how are they going to survive with Amazon, who eventually, if they wanted to one day, all of a sudden get into that. But if you've done a good job, like I feel like a Viore has done as far as creating a solid brand, and you've got a community of enough people, once you try it and you wear it, like even us, like let's say we weren't sponsored by Viore anymore, there's no doubt in my mind I would still be buying it.
Yeah,
I would still
100%.
Because I've wore it, I loved it, it's great.
It was a massive difference. I mean, and that was the thing too with the whole merch side of things. You can find materials out there, and you can just put a logo on it. It's not even going to compare to somebody who actually can tailor the fit to people's bodies, so they understand what it takes for certain friction, certain ways that it should stretch, certain areas.
And somebody who is up on culture.
That
too, obviously the fashion of it. Yeah.
What is it, jack of all trades? But what part were we wrong on? I don't think we said that Amazon would. That all these, I think that the argument was that in the past, for a new brand or an unknown brand to penetrate the market was very hard. But now people look at reviews, and even Amazon's products will get shitty reviews unless they lie.
Yeah.
Right? Well, and they somewhat do, right? They have control of what they want to release on that platform.
I think it's very similar to Costco. I mean, it's like, I don't know, maybe their quality isn't as good yet, but it's like if it's a little bit cheap, there's always going to be people that will prefer something that's a little cheaper.
That's a great example, Justin, because it's not like Costco has put Lenardi's out of business.
No,
it's not like, I mean, they didn't put out I forget the name of my store that I go to, and I see how funny is that. I don't even remember the name of the market that I go to, but I'm so sold on the experience of going there because of how they make me feel when I walk in. Everything from the butcher to the person who greets me when I walk in to the person at the checkout. I don't even remember the name of the company.
Yeah. No, Costco's not a great experience.
No, it's not. No, it's a nightmare, right? It's a nightmare going in and out there, but you go there because you
bulk up on shit that's like the essentials, but you still want even produce, it's great sometimes, but you're like, no, dude, I want something from the CSA, or I want something that's local, or I want quality that's perishable.
Well, one thing that Costco did well was they did their Kirkland brand, but here's what they was smart about. They're not making and producing and manufacturing those products. They're buying them from people who already, so their vodka is, I forgot who their vodka was. If it was, I think it's Sky or someone really good. They're buying it from them in bulk and then selling it through Kirkland. I don't think Amazon itself is going to kill brands. I think they're going to have the power to do kind of what Costco does, buy from these brands, produce it themselves if the brands allow them to. But really what they've done is they flipped, the big part of the model that they flipped on their head was when I went to the store and I bought a supplement, for example, or a product, I went with familiarity. I've used this before. I know it's good. I don't know. This new product looks interesting. It's got a nice label. Maybe I'll try it, but most likely I won't. Yeah. But if I go on Amazon, I have reviews that I can read. I just bought a dustbuster. You know what a dustbuster is? The little vacuum? Yeah. And we were on there, and Jessica heard that the Dyson one was great, and Dyson's a great brand. It's got a lot of familiarity. I've used their products
Dyson's
before.
Hilarious. They over-engineer everything. It's crazy.
So good. Everybody's like, oh, they're the best, right? It was like a fucking $250 dustbuster, and I'm like, look at this one on Amazon for $60. She's like, there's no way it's going to be good. I'm like, well, okay, it's got 150 reviews. Let's read the reviews. And the reviews were all very positive. So I'm like, let's give it a shot and see if we like it. And we got it. And I'm very satisfied. But if I didn't have that review process, no way I would have gone with
Yeah,
them.
sure. So it's gonna tap into the people like you that are cheap and probably didn't own it and didn't own a Dustbuster from Dyson before. But anybody who owned the Dustbuster from Dyson now maybe has something to compare to, and they might tell you, they may say otherwise. But there's enough people like you who said, hey, it got the job done, and I paid only $60, and that's good. And
so what you're talking about is brand loyalty.
And exactly. And that's what they're saying here is in this article, it talks about that how important that this brand loyalty is, and people are becoming more savvy to that Amazon does own this, does have control of all this, and so they're not being as swayed as what they initially were by the reviews. Like what we said is people are going like, okay, like no shit, it's number 3. It's fucking Amazon's brand.
Sure.
No shit, it's got 5,000 5-star plus reviews. It's Amazon's brand. That's not enough to sell me any as it was before on doing it, especially if it's something that I already have been married to that brand, like Dyson. But you bring up a good example. Maybe I've never owned a Dustbuster before, and I'm thinking about buying one, and that review is enough to get me to try the $60 one, and I never experienced driving a Dyson.
It's interesting too to see what's happened to Yelp, right? Like they were along those lines of like reviews, like that was the standard, that was like everybody would go to Yelp to like find out about like certain restaurants and certain businesses, and it was like complete shenanigans, like people buying off bad reviews so that it would just like bury the reviews. I mean, there's all kinds of shit going on with that, and it just got this general mistrust. I'm not saying Amazon has that yet, but who knows if it will.
Those games are being played on Amazon right now. We talked to Mike Matthews about that a while ago.
Right.
Here's the future, okay, of reviews. 100%. The future of reviews is when Facebook is able to connect with these companies, and instead of seeing 100 reviews, you're going to see 5 reviews from people I know.
Yeah,
that's when the fucking shit's
if it's people like related to you or your friend or that's
when it's going to change. When you're looking up a product and it's going to pull up the products that friends that you know and family have tried it.
If Facebook ever collabs and actually does that, which I don't know if I see that happening right now, that's giving away some of Facebook's power, because right now Facebook owns that power of the connection to the friends and the ability to do that. And right now, that's exactly what this article is arguing, is that the power of brand loyalty and with people like that is higher. You, like, let's say, what if you were about to shop there and I told you, oh, don't waste your money on that cheap shit. Trust me. Do the fucking Dyson one. It's worth the extra $100.
Of course I would go. I would trust you.
You would trust me.
Of course.
Right. Yeah. That still supersedes the 5-star rating.
Well, so what I mean is, so take it a step further. I think, that's going to happen at some point. It's too valuable. It's too valuable of a tool for people to see people that they know review something, because I want to see what Justin said about this creatine. Or
but what if Facebook does that alone and doesn't collaborate?
They might, but I think that's going to happen. The other thing that I think is going to happen is they're also going to start showing you reviews from people who are like you. Yeah. So rather than reading reviews from a bunch of different people, it's going to be like,
we should just start a review service.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
As if we don't have enough on our head.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, let's just do that.
We should
charge for it.
Yeah. It'll be reviews from like men your age interested in muscle building who've been working out for this long. Or it'll be, people who also like these other websites that you go to. And so you're going to be listening to reviews from people who are more like you. That I think it's going to keep getting more and more fine-tuned to that point. But ultimately, for 100%, I know me, if I see a product or whatever and I see reviews from people I know, that I'm going to trust way more than these random ones.
Right, but what I don't predict or what I don't think is going to happen is what you just said, is that Facebook will integrate with Amazon. That's giving up your power as Facebook. If anything, Facebook will try to create a competitive type of a platform with Amazon, because they do know that you're right. That, hey, friends trust other friends' recommendations more so than they trust Amazon's 5-star rating review.
This is why Facebook, for me, is such this is a big buy. Like when I talk to people about investments, and I am, by the way, no investment expert at all. So just
it's definitely a long play.
You have over I don't know how many billion people are on Facebook now, 2 billion. It is as a company, it has the most detailed information on its customers and people. By far. Now, all these tech companies have all this information on you because they know how to track you and see what your purchasing habits are and what your searches are. Facebook has that, plus it has all the voluntary shit. Yeah. Plus it has all the articles.
Political and has emotional, like it has like pictures, way too much information
pictures,
about
everything. That is so much power. I don't even think that people can comprehend what that can potentially mean for the future. So, like, in terms of investment, Facebook's a company I'm constantly investing in because I'm like, with all that information,
they're
going
to constantly be in conflict with the government. The government's already paying attention to them. They're trying to fuck with them. It's like a dance that they're going to be doing all day.
On those notes of things that we're speculating on what's going to happen company wise, what do you think is going to happen with Netflix now? Is Netflix going to go under?
I think, what's going on?
I think so, dude.
Well, last night was the big signing, for the official signing of Fox with Disney acquired Fox now. So Disney owns Fox, owns Hulu.
That
owns
is way
Marvel,
more interesting.
I'm fucking super interested in that. Justin and I were talking about this while you were on your interview. Man, look out. Look the fuck out, dude. Disney is on there. And,
I bought them too.
And Netflix has been, I'm in on them too. I that was HubSpot and Disney is what we said this year is the two companies that I think I'm interested in watching more than anything else. And I really think that, Netflix has leveraged the farm, dude. They have leveraged hard on buying people and content. Mm-hmm. They aren't this super profitable business that you would think they are.
You know what I love about this? It just goes to show you when you start to see these companies blow up and you're like, oh, they're going to dominate the market. Competition
comes in.
It always fucking comes in with all these companies. Here's what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be these are just networks like CBS, NBC, whatever, and they're just going to compete. And you're going to be like, hey, I watched this new show. Where'd you see it on? Hulu. Oh, awesome. Where'd you see it on? Prime. Okay. Yeah. I saw it on Disney. That's all.
Yeah, you say that, but Disney motherfucker bought like all the networks, dude. They just swooped up Fox and Hulu, dude.
Well, I heard somebody too like bring up a really interesting point about YouTube, in that YouTube is getting so many views and the content is not necessary. They might have some paid for content, but not much. Mm-hmm. It's all freely given. And it's almost like an outsourcing thing, or what do they call it? Open source.
Well, we're providing the content.
We're providing the content. Everybody's paying attention to it. Talk about profitability, like your margins there versus like somebody like Netflix that has to pay for the production. They have to pay for this director. They have to pay for like so many things that like they're constantly going to have to pay to play.
You're going to see a lot of new up and coming content producers. You're going to start to see the caliber. It's already exploding on YouTube, but you're going to see a lot of these independently funded and filmed, videos and films uploaded to YouTube. Here's where I'm going to get my start. And then when they get good, they'll go to Netflix.
Well, speaking of YouTube, because that's Google, right? Google, did you see what Google just did with gaming? They just put their hat in the ring for to come after Xbox and PlayStation.
Are they doing like a console?
No, it's console free. That's what's even, and it's streaming in 4K.
Oh shit!
And it's multiplayer worldwide.
I mean, you have controllers and everything they offer, but yeah.
Oh, it can be controller free. It can be streamed to your phone. It can be streamed to your computer. Any system.
They promise it's going to go up to 8K.
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. What the fuck is 8K?
We're going to see to the future?
You're going to see atoms?
I'm really curious, though, to see how Google... This is not like the first time this has been attempted. And by the way, I know I'm saying that Google's doing this. Microsoft has plans also by the end of this year to release its competitive... it's I forget what it's called. And I don't even remember the name. And Jackie will... link this article for the actual.
So not Xbox, another gaming.
It is streaming. So the future
service
of gaming, the one knock on video game consoles right now is it's like a massive computer, right?
It's a console.
Yeah, it's a big console that you have to have, and so wherever you go, where the future is to be able to game like that with your friends worldwide, anywhere at that grade of speed and clarity on your phone or TV without this. And so they're talking about what you're going to be able to do. Imagine the advertising on this too. So they say that you'll be able to imagine your kid, playing on the stream service, up pops this new game that advertises to them. They will be able to right away link and play it.
Well,
right away. Click it, go.
Without going through the downloading.
Yes,
it takes
without
forever.
Downloading anything, instantly streamed right away, and then you'll see a bump sell.
They've already figured that
for
out. That's crazy.
$50. Buy the whole game now.
So it's all a bit like cloud-based gaming in a sense.
What a time to be alive! I mean, it's insane. This is so crazy. The advancements are just moving so quick,
so fast.
Actually, so this morning I was on an interview, and one of the questions that I was asked was, "What do you think is on the new frontier of fitness, health, and wellness? Like, what are the things that you think health and wellness are going to have to focus on?" And hands down, 100%, it's digital wellness. It's going to be on how to manage all this tech, how to develop practices around all this tech, because I see that being the biggest health challenge now, or the new big health challenge that we're all going to be facing. Because think about how it's just like anything else. We're so inundated with this incredible advancements in technology, and we have no practices around them. Yeah. Nothing. No. We don't even know the how much of a detriment certain practices can and can't be. So we just kind of like open the floodgates, use it, go for it, have a good time.
And the scary part is that the speed at which it's compounding. Like, so when you think of like, exercise, if we were to go back, 5,000, 2,000, 1,000 years, go back just 1,000 years, and if they were able to see what we're doing for exercise, they would laugh at us.
Yeah, because you didn't have to have a practice.
Right, you didn't have to. And really, that what it took for gym and exercise to happen and evolve, I mean, that was decades.
It was a lot of side effects.
Yeah, slowly though, right? It wasn't like all of a sudden we were this healthy nation that did exercise and did these laborious jobs, and then the next day we were literally sitting on our asses all day long and we were all obese and fat. This has been something. It's been something we've been watching escalate, decade over decade over decade, and it's taken time for us to become so sedentary and so overweight.
And this is fast.
That's what's scary about this.
Way fast.
We went from just 10 years ago, nobody really carrying a phone in their pocket, or maybe a little bit longer than that now, right? So
about 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years ago, nobody even really had a phone in their pocket. To not only do you every single person, including bums today, have a phone in their pocket, but now you're fucking glued to it. Mm-hmm. You're glued to it for multiple hours a day. It's sucking you. So wow. And just in a decade's time, we've seen that.
That's why I think this message, we need to spearhead this. We need to hammer this home, because this is now.
I want to start a monthly thing from Mind Pump where we shut down tech for a day.
Let's do it.
Once a month.
Let's do it.
Once a month, we start off that. We announce a day. We let our audience know that, hey, we're going dark for one day. One day, can you discipline yourself as a person to not be on your fucking phone and your computer and your TV all day long, and and encourage people to just do anything but that. Go be social. Go read a book. Go take a walk. Go spend time with family.
It's a digital fast. Just like fasting from food, it'll give you better perspective. It's 100%. Really all it's going to do, because technology is not bad. Technology is not good or bad. It's like any other tool. Any tool. If I take a hammer, a tool can do great things or bad things. Depends how it's wielded.
It's about analyzing your own behavior with it, right? Like, for the most part, with fast, for me, specifically, it was enlightening in terms of like how I scheduled food, how I felt like I was hungry but I wasn't really hungry. Like it revealed a lot of interesting information to me about my own behaviors, like with food and how I constructed my day around.
Look, at the bottom line is, today, if you want to be healthy with your nutrition, you have to have practices. You have to. Because if you just go out and just eat and do whatever, you're going to end up in trouble, because food is everywhere. It's really, really good. There's all kinds of amazing flavors. You don't have to worry about, not having food, or what. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just eat as much as you want. So you have to have practices. You have to develop a particular relationship with food. You have to understand it. 5,000 years ago, you ate what you killed, and it was all fucking healthy, because that's how we evolved. With food today, you have to have practices. With activity today, you have to have practices. I'm saying this right now with technology. If you want to be healthy, you have to have practices around your use. I find myself, and it fucking blows me away. I find myself, sometimes I'll get on my phone and I'm going back and forth between platforms. I just checked Instagram. I'm going back to Instagram. Now I'm going to Facebook. Now I'm checking my email. What's on my text? Go over here. Go there. Boom, 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 boom. And before I know it, an hour and a half is gone, and it was mindless. It wasn't even intentional leisure. You know what I'm saying? It was
not only that, but
mindless.
look, the thing that I've noticed, because I've been trying to put some of these practices in place already for myself, and I've been playing with it, allowing myself, not allowing myself, paying attention to. And the biggest thing that I see that suffers more than anything, because I guess who cares? If you're all by yourself somewhere and you've got an hour to 2 hours to burn, who am I to say you shouldn't do it on Instagram or whatever? But where I'm noticing it starting to bleed into my conversations, my relationships with other people, and primarily with my partner. I see how distracted I am when I allow my phone to even be close to me. Katrina's in the kitchen. She's cooking. We're kind of talking about her day, and my phone's right there. You guys are texting. Instagram notifications are popping up, and I'm doing it while she's also telling me about her day. And I can see how distracted I am. And many times she catches me, and she's just like, "Did you even hear what I just said?" And I'm like, "Fuck, bro, how terrible." And then what I realize is, and that transfers into the whole rest of the night. Then come bedtime, like the intimacy and the connection just isn't there because I've been distracted all day and I haven't been focused on my partner. I put the thing away as soon as I come home, and then I allow, and it takes a while. I notice this. Like it's not like I set my phone down, then all of a sudden I'm this ultra present person. I'm into our conversation, and then the romance all starts. No, it's like it takes a little bit of detoxification from it to get my mind completely separated from it and actually forget about it.
Well, dude, here's what happens, okay? So when you're getting these constant dopamine hits, your brain starts to adapt to these dopamine hits by reacting less to these dopamine hits. So this happens with all dopamine releasers, whether it's a drug or novelty. You go have sex with a bunch of random people, dopamine. You keep doing it. That dopamine becomes less and less as your body adapts. Here's the problem with that. You start to model your brain after that, and then guess what happens when you don't have dopamine around you? Boredom and being bored becomes much fucking worse. It becomes more painful to be bored than it used to be. And I noticed this. I used to be able to stand in line at the grocery store and, look around and think a little bit. If I stand in line now and I don't have a phone, it's painful. It changes how you perceive being quiet. Yeah. Now, here's a thing that's happening right now. There's an explosion of anxiety, an explosion of depression, especially among the youth. And you can see that the charts will show you cell phone usage, smartphone usage, and depression and anxiety among children going through the roof. I think a big part of that is we're busy with nonsense all the time, not having that quiet time, not being distracted. And so you're in this hyper state of dopamine all the time. That is a recipe for anxiety. Yeah. So now I'm not saying that these things are bad. I do think that leisure, I think going on your phone, checking Instagram, Facebook, reading, nothing wrong with that, but make it intentional. Where, okay, I'm intentionally going to have some lazy leisure time right now for the next 30 minutes. Just like, eating bad food or not being active. It's the same thing. You just need to have practices.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like, because I noticed that too. Like it sucks. It sucks. It's really tough to kind of just stand there and stare at something. Like how much of that time, like that quiet time though, us like putting all this busy shit in between that has stifled creativity, has stifled innovation, like all these like ideas that you need time to formulate, to put it all together, and your mind does that all subconsciously. Like you're not like really all the time in control of that. You need to open up that process, and it's like we're fucking just inundated with all this like nonsense, just like look at this light, look at this thing, look at that thing.
Here's an easy one. Practice this. Try this. When you go to the bathroom, don't take your phone with you. And I know right now people are listening like, oh, fuck that. I don't want to go. Now, hear what you're thinking. You're really freaked out about taking a 10-minute shit without your phone because that's going to suck so bad. It's 10 minutes. Yeah. It's 10 minutes, and it sucks so bad without. I know people who will stop half shit, wipe their ass, go out, get their phone, go back in and finish. Yeah. Everybody's laughing, but I guarantee you a lot of you guys have done that.
I haven't done something that bad. I have walked upstairs to go take a shit, though, realized I didn't have my phone, went all the way back downstairs to get my phone,
and
go back up.
And went and got it, and then came back.
You got a serious problem if you got to
shoved him back in.
You got to break mid shit to go get your phone.
So my point is, take your phone.
How do you know you're an addict?
Don't take your phone in the bathroom.
Get back in there.
And if that freaks you out, you know that this is a practice you probably need to do.
Well,
it gets easier.
I don't know if I shared this on the podcast. After we had the Tommy Sobel, that was his name?
Yeah.
That came on with the brick, whatever episode. What I love about having Enzo, he's such a self-aware kid, and he's so intelligent, and he's only 17. And so to have somebody on the staff that is that young, that also listens to all the Mind Pump episodes, gives us a really good pulse on that generation coming up. And he said, man, Adam, after I listened to that episode, he goes, I felt really compelled to start to discipline myself to put my phone away. He goes, He goes, when I hit about 15 minutes, I can't take it anymore. I go, 15? What do you mean? 50? You mean you can't go 15 minutes all day without looking at you? He goes, yeah. He goes, I start to get anxiety when I don't have my phone for 15 minutes. Fuck, bro. And this is a self-aware kid, right? This is a kid who is open to learning, open to growing, open to being a better person. That's very mature at 17 years old. Not a lot of kids are like that.
When you grow up with it, I mean, what do you know otherwise?
Right.
Like
it's part of you. It's part of you.
We're kind of the last generation that really knows what it's like to be bored.
Yeah. And I want to be careful. I want to be careful and not try to promote the idea that it's all bad. It's not bad. It's a part of our lives. It's a powerful tool.
No, it's the same.
It isn't going away.
Same thing we talk about food.
Yeah.
I think that's such a great analogy. Like, we're not, there's ways for you to accept that there are very bad habits within it, and there's things to say that it's okay to indulge and do things at certain points.
It's all about developing practices, and so I hope we can start to come up with some solid ones, promote them to people, and practice them ourselves. Just like we've designed workout programs and come up with ways and strategies to get yourself to eat, better in an easier way. I think there needs to be some tech practices, and I think the effects will be wide-reaching and long-lasting. I've already done a few myself. I've done very stupid, simple ones. I don't take the phone in the bathroom with me anymore, and I leave it plugged in one spot of my house, and I don't look at my phone for the first 40 minutes to an hour when I wake up. Those three small things,
I'll add
huge
one
difference.
More. The whole do not disturb as I'm driving, game changing so far.
Yep.
Love it.
It's crazy, right? Small things like that.
It's so stupid. Like, that was built in there, but nobody's been advertising it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I want to make a quick announcement. We're switching platforms for our website and where you get your programs and stuff.
Yeah.
So there may be some possible disruptions. Unlikely, but if there are, please.
We're not officially live, but we will be going officially live this week, which is exciting as hell because it's a complete
refacing.
Complete refacing. I've seen lots of the website already. It's fucking awesome. We've separated the podcast from the program and the fitness products. So I think it's going to be easier to navigate. I think it'll be easier to connect with us. I think it's going to be, the UI is amazing. It looks amazing. I'm so pumped about it. It was a huge project for us that we've been working on over the last 6 months. It will go live by the end of this month or earlier. And just we really appreciate there's very good chances that someone will find a misspelled word somewhere or find a broken link somewhere. So we appreciate if anybody does run into that to email us at info@mindpumpmedia.com and just let us know what you guys see so we can fix it as soon as possible. But we've been running it and practicing with it for the last month or two to make sure that it's good to go. And we should be up and live really soon here. Another announcement that's really exciting is our Taylor has put this together. It's the first time we're doing something like this.
Ooh, I'm excited about this.
We're doing this in our hometown. It's in San Jose. It's on 420. Okay, so it's April 20th. It's a Saturday. It's going to be from 12 to 4 p.m. It's called Mind Pump and Mimosas. We're going to do a live Q&A where it's at this place called SP2. It's in San Pedro Square in downtown San Jose, and beautiful place. Outdoor. Hopefully we'll have. Hopefully the weather will be great for us. And like I said, they'll be serving mimosas. There'll be other drinks and stuff if you want to order those. This will be the first event that we're charging. Obviously, it's not free for us to do all this stuff, so we're not trying to make money on it. It's only $20 to reserve your spot. We will cap it at 100 people. Once we get to 100 people, that'll pretty much fill up the space completely. And the website is live to go there and book your reservations if you want to come. It's at mindpumplive.com. So if you go to mindpumplive.com, you can reserve your spot. It's April 20th on Saturday from 12 to 4 p.m. It'll be a live Q&A with us. Get to interact, hang out, drink, have some mimosas, and have a good time with us. If this is something that goes over really well, people really enjoy it, this is kind of falling into that promise that we're trying to make to get out in the community more. This will be something that we potentially do every single month with people. If we have a great showing and it goes accordingly and people like it, we hope to do it on a regular basis.
It's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
Eagle has landed.
Today's squad is brought to you by Maps Anabolic.
If you're looking to maximize your overall muscle and strength, MAPS Anabolic is the perfect place to start. With a full 30-day money-back guarantee, there is absolutely zero risk. So what are you waiting for? Go to mindpumpmedia.com and get started today.
It's the motherfucking quad.
Eagle has landed.
Quee-qua.
First question is from Kyla Elise. You guys talk a lot about the dangers of overtraining. If I work a sedentary job and do a program like MAPS Split with MAPS HIT sprinkled in, is that really overtraining if I sit 8 hours a day and generally do not get more than 7,000 steps?
Now, this is funny that this is how people would correlate.
I know, this is how they interpret the whole.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. I'm glad you picked this question because that's not what this means. Like,
no,
you could be completely sedentary and never move all day, and then very much so overtrain. Overtraining is what you're doing within that hour of
Over applied intensity.
And in fact, somebody who is, the more sedentary you are, the more subject you are to overdoing it.
Of course,
Yeah.
the people that can handle the most volume and load and intensity are the ones whose bodies are trained and adapted to lots of volume and load. So here's the thing. Overtraining is extremely individual. It's all based on the person, and it's all based on your ability to recover from the insult. It's based off of how much other stress is in your life, and it's also based on how your body responds to that stress. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say Justin and I are driving home from work, and we almost get in a car accident.
Carpool.
Let's say we almost get in a car accident. Like we're almost hit someone.
You're probably
car
driving.
spins. We're on the side of the freeway.
Yeah.
We almost die. We get back in. We get out of the car a little freaked out. Get back in the car, drive home. When we get home, I can't stop thinking about it. It scared the shit out of me. I saw my life flash before my eyes. Oh my God, I almost lost my kids. Justin, on the other hand, is like, whoa, that was okay.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, we survived. Big deal. And he's on with it.
Yeah.
That same insult is going to affect us differently. So it's also how you react and respond to the stresses in your life as well. All of these play a role in your ability to handle the workout. So why is this important to understand? Well, it means that a workout that I can normally handle today may not be the same workout I can handle tomorrow, because maybe tonight I have some stressful event, or maybe my nutrition is off, for example. Maybe my diet is terrible. That's another big one. Like, I notice when my diet is on point, when I'm getting adequate protein, when my foods are whole and natural for the most part, when I'm eating in a slight surplus, the workload I can handle is way higher than when I'm on a cut, or my diet is bad, or my sleep is off, or I'm all stressed out. Mm-hmm. So we talk about the dangers of overtraining because we're communicating oftentimes to these, fitness fanatics. And there's probably less of these people than there are the people who don't move enough. Mm-hmm. But
that's why this is a challenging message.
Right, yeah.
It's a challenging message because it really does depend on who I'm communicating, right? Like, if you're somebody who is addicted to the gym and you don't eat enough calories and you train like crazy, like, my message to you is completely different than the person who eats like shit, never moves. But still, though, okay, the person who doesn't eat very well, or like this person who does only take 7,000 steps or less a day, you are more likely to overtrain by doing something like this than the person who has a very physical job, moves 15 to 20,000 steps a day, already consistently trains 5 to 6 days a week, and has done that for 5 years of their life. Them training MAPS Split and sprinkled in HIT is less likely to be overtraining than the person who doesn't do a lot of exercise, doesn't move a lot, and is trying to throw too much at it. I don't understand why there's still people in the audience that hasn't figured this piece out. And I've said it enough times, you should have it fucking tattooed on you. Okay? Our goal is to do as little as possible to elicit the most amount of change.
I like how you enunciated that too.
Right. So if you are trying to get to a point, which there's nothing wrong if you have built up to being able to handle MAPS Split and MAPS HIT, which is a ton of volume. And I would never recommend that somebody starts here at all. I think that's a total mistake. But there's nothing wrong with working up to that. So what that would look like: MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, MAPS Aesthetic, MAP split, then MAP split with a little bit of HIIT sprinkled in. You know what that takes to get there? That's about 1.5 years of training. Yeah. If you follow each program to a T like that, then it should take you 1.5 years to build up to that volume. And what's beautiful, if you've done it in that chronological order, like we designed the programs that way, when you get to MAP split and HIIT, you should be at your ultimate goal of what your physique and you want to look like or be like.
To me, this highlights the misconception that basically, like any type of like magazine workout or any kind of like chalkboard workout or any kind of carbon copy type workout, like if I'm gonna look at this as like a math equation, right? I'm not moving this many steps, so therefore I need to make up for that. And I'm going to get it all in this like really condensed amount of time. And this is something I do think a lot of people have this idea, and they don't realize that all those factors that you're trying to mention, that like in terms of like your body being able to adapt, there's a sweet spot. Mm-hmm. And when you exceed that sweet spot, now all we're doing is we're eliminating the ability for your body to really adjust and create this new standard, throughout your body. We're just now telling your body like, oh my God, this is going to happen. And now I got to freak out and weather the storm.
Yeah, you're such a good point. After you pass the sweet spot of the right amount of working out and intensity, and you go past it, all you're doing now is compromising your ability to adapt and recover. That's all you're doing. At that point, you're not getting any more results. Does that make sense? So let's say my potential for getting my muscles to build and burn body fat and adapt is a 10. Once I've hit the 10 with the perfect workout, which is different from person to person and is entirely context-driven, once I've hit that 10, if I throw more at my body, I don't go up any higher. It can't. It doesn't go up any higher. All I've done now is slow down the process more and more and more. So that's why it's very important to train smart. Training harder is not training smarter. Only training smarter is training smarter.
I would never want to be doing split with HIIT combined unless I am at where I want to be. I would want to be built to my ultimate physique, and now I just love to train. I love being in the gym so much that I'm sprinkling some HIIT training in there. I love doing split. I'm basically training 6 to 7 days a week in the gym. I have my ultimate physique. I'm not trying to make any change. At this point, I'm just loving what I'm doing. You most certainly would not want to be doing split and HIIT together on your journey of health, or on your journey to getting really fit, or on your journey to build muscle, or to burn a bunch of body fat. Like, that is a ton of volume and a ton of training to be thinking that your body is not going to adapt to all that within a few 4 to 6 weeks, and then your body's going to slow down its progress and then eventually plateau hard, and then where the hell are you going to go?
Yeah, and it's such an individual thing. Like I know I've known people who have an incredible ability to handle work and workload, where they could just throw anything at their bodies and they seem to recover. And then I've known other people who, I had to be very careful. I had to be very, very careful with how I trained them, because we would overdo it very easily. And when we would overdo it, they would stop progressing. So that's the thing you want to keep in mind.
I don't even like telling people that they'll be okay and they can handle it, because a lot of people mistake the fact that their body can handle them.
Yeah, they think surviving is the same
right,
thing.
And they think just because they're like, oh, well, okay, I do this, Orange Theory class or CrossFit class 5, 6, 7 days a week, and I can handle it. I feel fine. My energy's good. I feel great after my class, but you're not seeing any progress anymore. Mm-hmm. The reason why you're not seeing any progress, you've adapted to all that. You don't want that. You want to do as little as possible to elicit the most amount of change. So if you're just getting started with a MAPS program and your choice was to go by split and HIIT first, I don't advise that at all. Mm-hmm. And in fact, you should start with anabolic. And then from anabolic, you build into performance.
If you're a beginner, start with MAP starter.
Right. That's why we created that. If you're somebody who's really sedentary, that's what I'm saying. If you're somebody who's really sedentary, you're more likely to overdo it at the beginning than somebody who's super active and been training for a long time, because that person should start to regress as low as you can in our programs, which would, like Sal just said, MAP starter. Like, you should start there, because it is as low a volume, as low as intensity that we have created a program. It's really designed for somebody who is just thinking about getting started in working out. It doesn't require a lot of equipment or barbells and so that. It's very basic. to get your body moving in the right direction, and then you build on that by progressing through the
I
program.
don't know if it's coincidence or not, but split plus hit equals shit. think about it.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, sorry.
That's a lot, dude. Split
just a
plus
lot,
hit.
yeah.
That is a lot of volume and intensity, and highly unlikely that that's going to be an ideal combination for you unless you're super advanced.
Right, if you're at that level,
Yeah.
shit.
It's possible. So, but you're going to be like an elite, 1%er.
right.
And you would already be at a place, I think, where you were pretty content with your
Like you just want to just go for it.
Yeah, I think it's for those fitness fanatics who fucking love working out.
Yeah.
Then you can do it.
I could see that.
Next question is from Yessie G.O. In the beginning of your careers, how did you handle clients that were very deconditioned or had mobility issues such as a recent knee surgery, hip issues, etc.? How did you reassure them, and what steps did you take to gather the information you needed to start their programming?
So in the beginning of my career, I had very, very little knowledge and understanding of correctional exercise. I just didn't know. But I did have enough knowledge to know that I needed to start some people off slow. And so what I used to do when I first started, before I understood correctional exercise, was we would just do the exercises that we were supposed to do with low weight, and we would just go real slow and focus on the form, which is actually not a bad way to help someone get to a point where they can do exercises. It is not a bad way to do correctional exercise. It's not the ideal way, but it is a way, and so that's what I used to do. Now, later on, I learned about correctional exercise, and I was able to be more specific and focused with how I would help people. Now, here's the other thing I want to communicate here, because part of this question was how would you reassure them? And I understand what they're talking about. As a personal trainer, someone's coming to you and saying, I want to lose 20 or 30 pounds. You do an assessment and you identify bad hip issues, poor recruitment patterns. You need to now tell them, sorry, Mrs. Johnson, we're not going to do workouts that are going to make you lose 30 pounds. We need to do correctional exercise for about 4 weeks because you can't move right, and we can't do all those other workouts that you think you need to do. That requires amazing, excellent communication skills, which is why I've said time and time again, the most important skill you have as a personal trainer is your ability to communicate what you know, because you have to sell it to that person. Because what happens with a lot of trainers is that they fall prey to what the client thinks they want. Mm-hmm. They know that they know what's good for the client because they're trainers, but they know the client wants a hard, sweaty, crazy workout. And because they're afraid of losing that client and they don't know how to communicate it right, they just give the client what they want. And in essence, doing what they shouldn't be doing just to try to keep the client and make them happy. So at this point, it's important to understand how to communicate to these people. Talk about the process, what's happening with their body, show them how they feel, do it with a confident assertiveness so that the person wants to follow you and follow your lead. And then once they see how their body responds and how they feel, you'll probably never have to ask them to trust you again after that first time. But it will require some really good communication skills.
And that's everything. I think, so I went through, and I don't remember what year I went through CES, but that was one of the best certifications that I got through NASM, their corrective exercise specialist. I learned a ton that I was able to apply to a lot of my clients. And when I got somebody, knee surgery is very, very common. I learned to communicate this way. I would explain to them that after their surgeries that, listen, what we do right now over the next 6 months to a year may be some of the most important things that you do for the rest of your life in regards to your overall health and fitness journey. And then I would explain to them why. And what I mean by that is that it's very common that when someone gets an injury, that they go right back to everything else that they've been kind of normally doing. And what they don't realize is that when they've gone through a major injury like that, the body doesn't know any better. It just then prioritizes neurons and muscles to fire and activate on an opposite side to compensate for the one that's now been injured, right? So if the knee goes down and you're not using it for X amount of time, the body then prioritizes its focus on other parts of the body to start to compensate for that injury. And what ends up happening is you get underdeveloped muscles around in the area of the injury. You get overdeveloped muscles on the area that is now supporting that or compensating for that. Now, if we get you back and you've just finished this surgery and we don't address this, that is just going to continue to get exaggerated as we go through all your basic movements. So if we just get into squatting and doing all your exercises that we were doing before, or get into running and exercise and moving, you have now established these new patterns to compensate for the injury that we now have to go back and correct. If we do not do that, you can still get by. You can still exercise, go about your day, but it's now going to start to exaggerate the imbalance. And so it's very important that we address that now. And how do we do that? We're going to do that by strengthening all the muscles that support the area that was injured. And then we're going to make sure that we start to make sure we do a lot of like unilateral work so that we can start to even that out. Because if we do a bunch of bilateral, or we're doing both feet at the same time, the stronger side is going to take over a lot of the movements, and we don't want that. So that's why we're going to do a lot of this one-legged stuff. I'm going to constantly be doing you in a split stance where I put the weight on the knee, the bad knee, so you're having to stabilize that area. This is where those things that we kind of tease.
That's what they're for.
Yeah, this is what they're really for. When you see a trainer doing a one-legged balance, or this is where I utilize a tool like this, is I know that this person has been on the other foot and using it so much that now I want them to bring back all that attention to that bad side. So if I have a left knee that my client just had surgery on, almost every isolation exercise that I do for arms, shoulders, shit like that, I'm going to have them in a split stance with that front bad knee forward and all the weight on it, to where they're kind of having to stabilize and balance on that, because I don't care about that back leg. That back leg has got so much attention for the last 6 months. I want to put the attention back on the side that's been neglected. So I think if you can explain that, like Sal said, really well to the client, so they understand that this is where our energy and focus should be, to make sure that we don't set you up for something that's going to cause you aches and pains for the rest of your life.
And the irony of it is, when you do this right, you'll build way more value with the client than if you didn't do this. So the stuff that you're afraid of communicating, if you do it right, get some buy-in. That's very important. You want them to understand and agree, and you do it, you will be so much more valuable. It was my correctional exercise stuff that got me all my value with my clients. The weight loss and muscle building stuff is easy.
I'm going to be honest. If you were to focus on anything as a new trainer, you should dive head into correctional exercise.
Totally.
This is why we created Prime Pro.
And,
I know someone's rolling their eyes because I tend to shamelessly plug the fucking programs whenever these. But this is why, because we know this is if you're a trainer, 100% you have to have this program, because you have the resources now to just go to that and look at the joint or the area where the injury is most likely, because someone's going to have an injury either near the ankle, near the knee, near the hip, near the shoulder. Guess what we did in Prime Pro? We went through it and we addressed every major joint. Those are the type of movements that you should be teaching those people.
Well, you're not going to value it till you really educate yourself in that direction. And, in terms of like how we sort of addressed this in the very beginning as trainers, like for me, it was always, well, I still want to work with this person in their, limitations, and I'm trying to find the thresholds to where their abilities lied, and I don't want to exaggerate their problem. And so I had to immediately I freaked out and was like, oh fuck, I got to get more education. I got to go research the proper ways to train somebody that just came off of a knee surgery. That I don't want to make it worse. I don't want to, add something to where they're going to go back to their doctor and they're going to be like, what have you been doing? And so the pressure is on you. And you need to take and own that and go do your homework.
Next question is from Adam Pullman Fit. What do you preach that you don't practice enough yourself?
Oh, crap. Justin picked this one. Damn it.
Why did I? I didn't know you could just string it right after that.
Got to call ourselves out. We just talked a lot about digital wellness and practices. That is the hardest one for me.
Well, that's brand new, so
that is
easy.
hard. That is so fucking hard. Like, I find myself getting on my phone when I'm with people around me, during conversations. I find it doing it with you guys, and that one is that's a freaking hard one. That's a monster right now, and I would say that's got to be the most difficult one for me at the moment. Maybe I'll think of another one.
Mine is definitely caffeine intake, and I'm always trying to say, I'm totally working on it, lowering it, and then I ramp it up more, and it's like you guys are it's great because you guys kind of notice all my patterns. And I think that's what's great about us having like the three of us, like brutally honest. It just makes its way back in. And I notice it, but at the same time, I don't do anything about it because it does serve me. It serves me when I wake up to have that stimulus. It serves me to talk better, and like it does a lot of things that I associate with it. And so it's really fucking hard for me to ramp that. I know I need to do it. I have to bring it down for me because I'm so high right now, and I don't want to. Yeah, it's bad.
I would actually say following our programs to a T. I think that we preach that a lot on the show and tell people how important it is that you follow these programs to a T. But I also think I have a good excuse for why I don't. I think that every one of them I've been through and followed to a T, and the philosophy behind all of the programs I completely understand and comprehend. Therefore, I get to cheat. I get to weave in and out and pick what I want this week and to focus on certain things that I want to because I really understand the philosophy behind it. It's kind of like when your teacher in math would teach you, long division or like working the problem out. It's like you don't do that every time that you have to divide something that's pretty basic that you can do in your head. That's kind of how I feel about our programs is they really were designed not that, this is the ultimate program, but they're really designed to teach people to understand the principles behind good programming.
It's a framework. It's a template.
Right. So you then could do that. So if I were to say there's something that I preach a lot on the show that I don't do myself, it's following our programs. I mean, what I'm doing right now with our swimming, with my swimming, and we don't have a program that I'm following. There's pieces of Prime in there. There's pieces of Prime Pro in there. There's pieces of performance I was doing the other day. I was just doing aesthetic the day before that. I'm all over the board, but I understand the philosophy, the principles, the rules of good programming, and then I've now molded it into my specific goals right now, which is what I think is the message that we've always tried to get across.
Well, the foundation is there and it's established. So now, we all kind of, I definitely can identify with what you're talking about, and I would love to just stay regimented and really structured, with my workouts. That would be great because I know what that would do for me.
Right. The bottom line is I know if that I actually had a very specific goal, like to start shaping my body for stage, following aesthetic and split, I would do. But I'm not, that's not a goal right now. I don't have these major, I don't want to change. I'm not trying to change my body composition majorly right now. I'm not trying to really improve my overall performance. I want to get good at swimming right now. I want to enjoy that, not only for the fact of getting better at swimming, but also for the relaxation, the meditative benefits that I get from it. And so a lot of my exercise right now is not geared towards a goal or a performance enhancement that I want to get to. It's really more personal.
I got a good one for myself that really just dawned on me. I preach all the time about how supplements play such a minor role in your fitness and health, and it's not a big deal. There's a few supplements that are out there you should
for
take.
Sure take the most supplements.
And I fucking love them. I love them. And I know
it's like candy to you, dude.
I know that it's not really, but I have a lot of fun with them. And now that we're Mind Pump and shit gets sent to us like crazy, we get supplements from everyone.
Ooh, yeah, you're like a little kid, dude.
Try this. The odds that we're going to sign with the supplement company are 5%, 1% maybe. You have to blow our mind. So you can send us products. I encourage it. Send us all the samples you want. If it blows our mind, we'll like it. And so I end up trying all these I have a cupboard full of stuff. Jessica's like, "What are you taking now?" And I'm like, "I don't know. This company sent to me. I'm gonna see what happens."
See what happens with
that's
this.
That's the one thing I think people would be shocked because I'm always like, supplements, you don't need them. Eat whole natural foods, this and that. Yeah. But if people saw all the shit that I had and took and messed with,
that's a good one.
They'd be like, "Oh, this hypocrite."
You self-experiment a lot, though. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, I also think too, in your defense, that the message why we came out so hard on supplements was because too many people were sold that they are that important.
Sure.
And when you take them, you're not thinking like, man, I got to take this because I want to burn some fat. Oh, I want to take this because I'm trying to build a bunch of muscle. It's like I get how you use them, and I know for sure that you wouldn't go out and spend a bunch of money on it, especially how cheap you are.
Oh, it's the Ben. Ben Greenfield side of me. It's the fucking oh shit, this is the new nootropic from whatever. I'm gonna combine it with this and let's see what happens here. And I take it and it's like
new formulas.
Oh shit, it gave me diarrhea. Cool, let's not do that anymore. And now it's combined.
Let's journal that.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't sleep. Okay, let's not do that one. Anyway.
But I think again, defending you, I think that the message was really to save all the people's money that were out there spending hundreds of dollars every month in hopes that was going to make a big difference.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't work out and don't eat right. Those are paramount. Right. And I'm not taking supplements to make up for that kind of bullshit. But 100%, I think, again, if I had people over my house and they saw what I took in the morning and whatever I take during the day, I walk around with a bag full of supplements sometimes.
Well, I for sure have taken more supplements in the last 3 years than I have in my previous fucking 12.
Part of that's because of me. I end up giving you guys shit all the
time. Yeah. Hey, try this.
Yeah, I give him like a handful of shit. He's like, what is this? I don't know. Take it.
That was interesting. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Next question is from Healthfully Happy. Are you going to encourage your children to go to college? Do you think that there will be enough value to it by the time that they would be considering it?
Oh, good question.
Interesting question.
And I know our kids are going to listen to this episode one day.
Right?
I mean, I'll tell them what I've had this conversation with my son. So my son's about to go to high school, and we've had this conversation. He actually talked to me. He said, do you think college, because he's heard me talk before. He goes, should I even go to college? And I said, it all depends on what you want to do. Just like anything else, you have to look at the cost and the benefit, the value. So if you want to be a YouTube entrepreneur, is spending $100,000 going to a prestigious college, is it going to be worth it? No, definitely not. You're going to learn more by learning on your own online and by being maybe mentored by people who do it. Way more valuable than going to university. Do you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or maybe
any kind of clinician?
Yeah, maybe an engineer of some sort. Then yes, it definitely can be of value. I think you got to look at what you want to do.
It's necessary in some of those.
In some of those, you have to, right? I mean, engineer maybe not necessary, but if let's say you're going to work in tech management or something like that, and it depends on the school too. Like, are you going to MIT? That might make a difference if you're going to try and be in management at Google. It might not either, because if you compare that with someone who say developed their own program and has now worked on their own and showed all this stuff and has that kind of that go get 'em attitude on their own, it might not. It all depends on what you're going to do. Look at what you're going to get the degree for, how much you're going to earn making that, and just do the fucking math.
Now the hard part about what you're saying right now is that how many 17-year-olds that are about to turn 18 really know what the fuck they're gonna do. At that age, I think I thought I was gonna.
Don't go into debt. That's my advice to those kids is you don't know what you want to do. That's fine. You could still go to college to figure it out, but don't go into debt while you're doing it, because that's dumb.
Community college, and there's also state schools. State schools are much cheaper, and I wish I would have stayed at the state school. I went to private school, which was like way more expensive. But I was one of those kids, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't really have like the clearest idea of what I wanted to do career-wise, and that was something that I had to go through the process of like, well, I've always been interested in this, but I didn't even consider that as a potential career. And so breaking away from school was honestly that it felt like the most freeing, liberating thing ever. And it was like the possibilities were endless at that point. Some kids might come to that conclusion early, and for them, I would say, yeah, definitely don't get into debt. That's not something that if you know specifically, this is a passion of yours. Like there's a company that you can come in and you can provide internship, or you can get yourself an apprenticeship, which I feel like is
that's
the most undervalued way to learn anything. Like I think I highly suggest people look into that if you know and you can specialize right away. And to be honest, like for my kids, I'm just going to evaluate it once we get there. It's like, I don't know what that even looks like. This is like totally a speculation of what college is going to become, in the future.
The rules I have for my kids are don't be lazy. Okay, hey, Dad, I don't know what I want to do. That's fine. Let's go to community college then, even though whatever. To do that, get a job. Get different jobs so you can kind of see what you want. Let's start experimenting and see what happens. But you don't get the luxury of sitting at home and playing video games and being a lazy ass. You got to go out and make shit happen. Let's figure it out. Hey, Dad, I know exactly what I want to do. Great. What is it? I want to be a fitness entrepreneur. Okay. You're not going to go to college because there's nothing you're going to learn in college that you can't learn interning for Mind Pump. Come work for us. I'll train you myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all depends on what you want to do. And some careers and some jobs, you'll do better off going to college. It'll be worth the cost. And some you're just not. They're not going to be worth it.
I kind of feel like I answered a question recently from somebody who asked if, when the time comes and if Maximus is wanting to play tackle football, what would I say or do? And I think I would handle it the same way that I would handle college. I think that I would educate my son on the pros and the cons of it. I would make him aware of where he fits in that, because what if your kid is, if you have a kid like Sal, you have a kid like this. Your kid is about to go to one of the most prestigious schools here. He's in robotics. He's a 4.0 student. He may get into fucking Harvard. And boy, the benefits of going to a school like Harvard is, and you already see the benefits of him potentially going to the school that he's going to right now. Like, man, that the benefits of that community and being around that are extremely valuable.
Sure,
right?
But if he goes and he fucks off, or he goes to Harvard to get a degree in, liberal arts or ancient art or something like that, nothing wrong with learning those things, but you can learn those online. You don't need to go spend $200,000 going to debt to learn those things.
But my point is, like, your son and where he's at education wise, the way he values education, the way he is, and like, let's say what if my son's more like a 3.2 student, and he's just thinking about going to some prestigious college that and maybe he barely gets by, and that conversation's probably a little bit different than if I'm talking to your son. So I think just like if I was talking to my son who played Pop Warner, is now in high school, and he's kind of average at football, and he's thinking about really continuing it on. Like, I'm going to let him know. I'll definitely be a dad.
Risk
like that.
Reward.
Yeah. Like, hey, son, this is kind of where you fall in the mix.
You had fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the
people get a lot bigger, stronger, faster.
Right. And here's the chances of you going professional. This is where you fit in that. These are your 40 times. This is your vertical. I can break all that shit down because I'm into that stuff.
Right.
And say, hey, it's up to you. If you want to keep going down this path, but this is where this could potentially lead, and what's most likely where it's going to lead, here's the chances of it going this direction. I think I would do the same thing with college. Like, this is where you, in the whole, going through school, where you match up, where your grades are, and where you want to go for life down the road. Here's the pros of doing this way. Here's the cons of doing this way, and then let him decide on that. And I most certainly would not be a parent that just because I had the money sends you off to a 4-year college, just go to get drunk for on every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then skate through school just to get a degree, just so you could say you have a degree. Like, most certainly I wouldn't do that.
No, and you know what? There's study, and people always bring this to me, like, study. This study shows that people who have a 4-year degree earn this much more in their lifetime than people who just graduate high school. Terrible study. They're terrible because there's a bit of a selection bias going on. First of all, everybody that decides to go to college, that group of people who decide to do a 4-year degree have a different mentality than a lot of people who decide not to go to college. What we need is a study that shows the focused people who don't go to college versus the focused people who go to college. Compare those two, and I bet you will find that the difference is not going to be that high. If we look at all the people who are like, I'm not going to college, but I know exactly what I want to do. I'm going to do this business. I want to start that business. I'm a hustler. I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to learn from this person. That person's probably going to succeed. At the end of the day, if I had to make a prediction on future success, and you were to show me the schools they went to and all that stuff, but you also showed me their attitude, guess which one's going to determine
their character,
their success, their character and attitude by far. Because I didn't go to college. Look, we started Mind Pump when I did maps when I was 34 years old. That's when I first created maps. Right, I was 34 years old. Now by that point, I could have gone to college. I could have had a PhD and a master's. I would have been $250,000 in debt. Would I have been better off? No, not at all. Not for what I wanted to do. Now, I didn't go to college, but I definitely didn't leave high school and then just, work a part-time, minimum wage job and live with my parents. I knew what I wanted to do. And this whole time I've been working and driving towards it. So there's a big, big, big difference. It really depends on the child and the person. And it could I have 2 kids. It could very well be that one of my kids, I tell them, yeah, college is a good idea for you. I'm going to help pay for that. And the other one would be like, it's not for you.
Yeah.
I think you should do something else. It very well may be exactly that.
Yeah.
And with that, look, go to mindpumpfree.com and download our guides for free. We got a lot of them on there, lots of great information, and they're totally free. Again, mindpumpfree.com.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.